Okay, this is what I got going on, Corey. This is the roof layout. You're not able to get a 16-foot length out of a 2x6, or out of 16 foot with a 612. So what you're going to have to do is make this a 412. You can't even get a 512 out of a 16-foot length. So this is what I got going on. Got laid out on the ground here. I don't know if you can really see it because of how sunny it is. So what I have is I have the outside of your wall. Here's the wall, double plate. Okay, this is the end of the wall. Okay, this is, follow along, this is the wall, the top of the wall on the gable end. Okay, this is your riser height right here. Okay, so what's happening is this is how high your cripple is going to be up underneath a 2x8 ridge. So you're going to make a 2x8 ridge. When you put your 2x8 on top of a 52 3/4 inch 2x4, okay, like so, your ridge is going to sit right on top of a 52 inch 2x4. That's what's going to support it right at the ridge on the gable end. Okay. Okay. So if you cut that 52 3/4 down, then your gable will sit right on both sides. And if you have intersections in the inside of the house, in that area, that's what these little cripples are going to be, up underneath the ridge only. Okay. Okay. At a 412 pitch, you're going to set your speed square. If you got a speed square, basically you put the speed square on, you know, and you just do your 412 scribe, and that's what's going to give you this angle. Okay. You're going to measure from the long point all the way to the short point of a 412. Okay. You're going to measure on a 2x6, because you can only use 2x6 for structural and weight wise, you know, for what you got going on here. It'd be a good idea to use 2x6. 187 3/4. Okay, from long point to short point. Okay, and then you plumb it down. Okay. After you cut these two angles down, okay, hook your square on the end here. Just hook your square. I'm going to show you right now. All right, let me come over here and grab the square. This is what's going to sit on the plate. Okay, hook your square right on the outside edge of that angle, and you're going to go over as much. Oh, you only want to sit on the top plate, 3.5 inches. So when you hook that over, scribe and cut that. Then you'll have a seat on top of here. Now these rafters are too short at 16 foot, so you're going to have to scab a tail, ever how long the tails you want, on these rafters to come on out for, you know, fascia and stuff. So you take a 2x4 and just nail a 2x4 flush with the top. Nail a 2x4 right, like flush with the top, and let it cantilever out. And that's what's going to give you your tail. Okay. Now these little blues right here, these little ones, these are considered basically your stud, just a rough stud guesstimate. Well, you don't need a strut on the gable end up underneath your gable rafter at every 16 inches. So you're always going to stack these, you know, so your outside plywood works out on the seams perfectly, so you don't have to, you know, come in later and put a piece of backing in. So you only need to go like every 2 foot up underneath those. Okay, just to support this gable end rafter. You should do this on all your rafters, you know, at least have a structural support in the center. Okay, I mean, I know you're not going to be able to get in the center because you're going to have the ridge, so you might not, you know, be able to get in the center, but at least in the center, in every, you know, 2 to 4 feet in your center ones. Okay, after that's done, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to run a collar tie. And what the collar tie does is it runs all the way through you're going to have to use 16 feet 2x4s. What this is going to do is this is what's going to support the center of the truss from sagging. So this collar tie runs all the way across past the center, all the way over, and ties into the center of the other truss, just like this. So this 16-foot 2x4 comes all the way across, and basically is called a collar tie. And the purpose of that is it just takes any weight off the roof from sagging, and because if the roof sags, what happens is your ridge will drop. Okay, you do not want your ridge to drop, because what happens, it causes a chain reaction. When the ridge drops, it pushes this rafter out, and when this rafter gets pulled out, when it's nailed to the wall, in turn it pushes your wall out, so you'll be screwed. Okay, so these collar ties are very important. Okay, so again, 16-foot lineal 2x4s will be for your collar ties. Okay, and these little struts can be 2x4s. Okay, on the flat, you know, you have to cut them at an angle at a 412 to make them work, you know. And unless you want, well, you're gonna have to put a ceiling in sometime and somehow, but your ceiling rafters will just lay on the top plate, and they'll just nail right into the side. They'll just nail right into the side of your 2x4s, or right into these top. Once these are nailed down, then your 2x4s will lay right on top of this, and you can nail right into the side. And those would be your bottom cords for your ceiling, your drywall ceiling. I think that basically covers it. So that's a 2x6 top cord, and 2x8 ridge, a strut. Your height for this center cripple to support a 2x8, which a 2x8 is 7 1/4, is 52 3/4. If you cut it 52 3/4 and stick that right up underneath, notch it, make sure you secure it well to this, whatever you can. That way it supports that ridge. It's very important. And you should be cool. Now see, this is just a basic how-to, and of course, again, this rafter is 187 3/4 from the long point, the top of the top, long point on the top, top, to the short point on the top at a 412 pitch. Okay. And remember, again, once you cut this angle, again, you will put your square on, put your square on it, measure over 3.5 inches along the square, scribe that, 3.5 inches, and then you'll get a perfect seat cut right at the top plate. Okay? And like I said, you're going to have to add scab 2x4 tails on. So if you're going to hang over 12 inches, give yourself a good 14 inches hanging over, and that means you're going to have to come up at least, I would give yourself, because you're going to have to lay your first sheet of plywood down, I would at least make sure that these tails are at least, you know, 4 foot long, or your plywood won't, you're going to have to make blocks and your plywood won't land and all that stuff. So it's a good idea to at least make those. If you can make these 5 foot, great, you got plenty to work with each tail. It's a lot of work, You know, so you gotta take the good with the bad when it comes to wanting to do these things by scratch, or if you want to have them manufactured. So, happy trails. Later, bud.